Nia doesn't want to waste her breath on Charlotte Flair, and no one has ever handled Charlotte like she did last week, I'll say. And she's going to finish what she started and win the Raw Women's title.
I felt there was like veiled acknowledgement at, the
Oh, they were trying very hard. They were trying very hard to play off of last week and market this as, we don't know what's going to happen here.
So Nia in her promo says Charlotte freaked out last week. She just freaked out because she couldn't handle like that I was manhandling her or something. Or
everyone freaked out. It was a terrible match.
Yeah, well, this was the main event of the show.
In some ways it was. I mean, it was very clear they were trying to push this as what's going to happen. Last week was out of control. What's going to happen? I mean, if you're going to book this rematch, I mean, then you might as well play into that because of the discussion that last week generated. It was sizable. The bell rings and Shayna is out with Nia, and she doesn't know if Nia has what it takes to beat Charlotte. This was, like, I guess by default, Shayna Baszler is the babyface in this whole equation, but this was so confusing. Like, we had two heels in the ring. Shayna was just ungodly annoying throughout this thing, but I think you were supposed to sympathize with Shayna because you're not supposed to like Nia, but you're also not supposed to like Charlotte, but if the two rule each other out, you're to default to Charlotte. This was just impossible to just compute what was the desired reaction.
Yeah, you might have a better chance calculating John Morrison's career in decades.
So they try to like throw hands at one another, and the ref's getting in the middle. John McCarthy here, and
yeah, they were this time. They were like trying to make it look like a messy hockey fight. There's a lot of talking here. Charlotte's like upset that Nia pulled her hair. They were doing like a cooperative version of the parts that fell apart last week. Yeah, and I don't fault them for doing it. I think if you're going to play off of the controversy from last week, you expect them to do something like this. But they didn't do it throughout the whole match.
No,
they dropped it.
Yeah, to me, it kind of felt a bit contrived, just the way they were going about it. To me, you do need a bit of an air of believability that this one lacked for me. She dares Nia to pull her hair, and then Charlotte rolls to the floor and gives her the suck it sign and tells Nia to kiss her ass and grabs the belt, and Shayna gets in her face. Nia then yanks her back in, and this is where we pretty much just had like a standard match for the rest of it. Jax stopped a figure four. Flair did a moonsault off the top to the floor, and then Baszler comes over and nearly strikes Nia, but pulls up at the end. Nia hits the avalanche, and then Baszler gets onto the apron, distracting Nia, which leads to Charlotte hitting a natural selection off the turnbuckle and pinning Nia in 8:53, which seems to put this program to bed after two matches. We spin off Nia with Shayna and Charlotte with Alexa Bliss, which was the two programs that we originally had until we detoured here. I mean, this was better than last week. That goes without saying, but I still didn't think this. These two have a very awkward chemistry together.
Sure, yeah. I thought it was all right. It was like I think a decent follow up to what was a pretty controversial moment from the week prior. What was interesting was just the booking here and how they extinguished this very quickly. And I wonder how much of that just has to do with like whether or not Nia was positioned as a backup for Alexa, or if this was the plan the whole time to just delay this by a week by having Charlotte, your champion, lose. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but something tells me there are probably a few things at play here.
I would imagine that there probably was. It just did seem like a waste of a Charlotte Flair loss, which, I mean, it's kind of silly to look at a champion losing a non-title match because it happens so often. But anyway, this felt like the conclusion of it. Alexa appears on the screen, inviting Charlotte to the playground. Flair won't play her mind games, so the lights go out. Alexa is in the ring with Lily and points to the title. And when Charlotte asks, "You want a title match?" the whole place starts chanting, "Yes." And she states that this isn't your playground, Alexa. It's mine.
I had more than one comment sent to me from listeners commenting on the crowd sweetening in particular for a segment like this. And I it's it's kind of difficult for me to exactly say yes, definitely crowd sweetening, or no, definitely. I mean, it's kind of tough to tell sometimes, but I definitely was suspicious throughout this segment. Um, Anytime I think now when you see maybe Alexa or like maybe even the Charlotte Nia segment, it's at least a little bit suspicious because I'm watching at least a little bit more closely. Does the crowd match this? Does it not? Again, it's kind of hard to tell, but I do have suspicions.
I mean, the yes chants, like you could see the audience like chanting that.
Yeah, you can, but were they chanting that loud? Because they can pipe it into, like, if they pipe it into the audio in the rooms, people are going to join along. But anyway, again,
I don't think
I
they're
don't know
piping
any of
in
this.
yes chants anymore. I would say like that's
But
probably
this,
not the chant that you're
but the
piping in.
but the promo segment was designed to elicit yes chants. The like she deliberately asked the audience, should I da 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 da.
And I think the audience responded as you would think. I can't speak for the rest, but I think the yes chants were natural.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Let us know what you think in the comments below.